Welcome to the Week 2 edition of the Postgame show for the Summer 19 season here in Connecticut. I'm your host, Greg Horne. I'm from the Weekly Rebound, obviously with my co-host right behind me, Connor Sauer. And I got a whole collection of interns. We're not going to run through the names, just know that they're the best interns we've seen. And we'll start with maybe one of the best games we've seen of the year, Flint, Tropics, and the Redeem team. Obviously, I love Flint. Flint eats those dubs. That's what we do in Flint Nation. We only win. But I'll start with you guys. What did you see out of those two teams?
This is a game when I saw it on the schedule for this week. I had it circled on the calendar because I thought this was going to be the game of the night, and it definitely lived up to it. Going into overtime, first overtime game of the season. For Flint, Mike Rizzuto came out strong again, dropping a game-high 24 points. Didn't shoot as well as he did last week, but once again, shooting as well. And then Nick Taps as well, also played great for Flint, coming out strong. And Flint looked great today, and ready for them to see what they do the rest of the season.
Another thing about Flint going off that is they were trailing most of the game and they just never quit. Like they always found a way. Like anytime they were down 5, you'd see them hit a clutch 3, get a steal. It was always back and forth. They were never, despite being down, you always knew that at the end they were going to be there. And scoring the first basket in overtime right off the bat, I just felt like the game was over. They were just in complete control.
I personally didn't even watch this game, but I could hear the whole thing, everything that was happening, and I could tell that this was kind of a game that showcases what this league is about and why people love it so much and take it so seriously. It was week 2. Both benches were hyped the entire game. The crowd was into it. All the players were chirping each other. The fans were chirping. It was just a great showcase of basketball.
This is definitely a game I can see happening again sometime in the postseason.
Yeah, I agree. And I'll quickly just let our Redeem team player right here give his analysis. What did you see from playing in the game?
It was definitely chippy. I mean, everyone's arguing for fouls, but we were getting killed both ways. They were getting killed on layups. We were getting killed. Honestly, we didn't play well down the stretch. Probably didn't have our best lineup in my opinion, but we'll fix it. We'll see them again in the playoffs. We'll fix it.
Yeah, you heard it here first, and we'll move on. Speaking of the playoffs, two teams that definitely will make noise in the playoffs, Shocker City and Nick Strong. And Nick Strong actually only lost by 4 points. Shout out the spreads we made. Completely wrong. Nick Strong every single week comes in and proves that no matter what team they play, they're going to absolutely compete with them. So, I mean, what did you guys see out of this amazing effort from Nick Strong?
Yeah, I mean, right away it was back and forth. Basically the whole game it was back and forth. Going in, I kind of assumed Shocker City was just going to blow it out of the water. Having won last year against Bricklayers, or last week against Bricklayers, won 19 to 30 something or another. I kind of assumed they were going to go in with that same firepower. Not that they didn't. They still picked up the dub, but it was a really well-played game by Nick Strong. They were very well balanced, spread the ball really well. They were physical, and just like the game that was happening on Court 1, this game was actually a little chippy too. Towards the end, when it was getting a little close, it got pretty chippy, but hard fought on both sides, and kind of surprised to see Shocker City win by only, 4 points? Yep.
Yeah, just going off of that, last week I was all about Shocker City. I still am. I think they're a great team, and overall, just star talent all around. Any night, any of their guys can just completely go off, so it's really fun to watch. And I got to give props to Nick Strong. They just looked really good all around. I'd say offensive and defensively, they really, put up a great fight, and I'm honestly surprised they lost the game. Because in the end, it was so close, and thought they were going to make some noise late.
The thing that I like about Nick Strong is they're definitely not one of the tallest teams in the league. They're actually probably one of the shorter teams, but they play the hardest. They play 110% every single possession. They're football players, so they're running hard every single play, and I mean you can't not commend them for that because it's just a lot of effort that they're putting in, and it shows, and it'll probably show in the win column very soon as well.
No, yeah, I call them the J.J. Watts. That's what they do. They just no matter who they're playing, they'll compete to the fullest, and I think that's why they compete in games like this. And another close game we had on Court 2 is a team I'm fond of, Toon Squad versus the best name in the league, the Scots Tots. And Toon Squad pulled it out 54-46. A lot of chirping in this one, actually, too. A lot of chirping so far in the league. I like it. But what did you see in this game that had the Toon Squad pull it out?
Yeah, well, Toon Squad just stacks up against Scots Tots. It's kind of uneven. They are a very tall team with a lot of big guys down low, especially, what's his name?
Chad McCoy.
Chad McCoy down low. He's a problem.
Yep,
He is probably the strongest and just biggest dude in the league right now. So he's definitely a problem down low. He had 18 points today. And number 6, Jane Battle, is just the dog you need in the fight. He'll always be there for you. He'll always be hustling towards the last play, to the last second. And I think that's kind of what happened in this game. Scott's Tots started off okay, started picking it up a little bit. They definitely have some talent there. It's just a matter of piecing it all together and making it successful in this league, which is, we'll see. It'll probably come, but in this one, Toon Squad was just a little too more dominant.
I didn't watch this game, but just real quick on Toon Squad, I was, even in a loss last week, I was high on them because you could see the potential is there. It just as a newcomer, it's a very different style of play, so they got to get more adjusted to it. But once they get really adjusted to them, I can see them being a dangerous team late in the season.
And so it was both their first seasons in this league, and Toon Squad got their first win, so congrats to them. But Scott's Tots, I think, really can put it together. I saw a lot of potential with them. I think they just have to kind of figure out offensively and defensively, kind of both games they've played have been very low scoring. So I think they are a very good defensive team, but really have to put it together offensively.
I think what they have to do is they have to rely on scoring in the paint a little more. They shot 3 for 24 from 3 today, which is 12.5% for those of you who don't know math as well as I do. But that's just not going to cut it. You got to shoot either a higher percentage than that, or drop it down low and try to work a big man down low. But in this one, Toon Squad's big men were just a little too much for Scott's Tots.
No, yeah, Scott's Tots actually, we used to have a team in this league, Team Moose, so you guys obviously remember them. They should honestly play like they used to. They probably shot 33s a year, and they every time would be top 5 seed in the playoffs. They'd always play good against the big teams, and I think you're right, Scott's Tots needs to just focus less on the refs and focus more on getting the ball down in the paint. But let's have a quick moment of silence on the post-game show for the Bricklayers who lost the game 109-33. We're a big fan of the Bricklayers here. We're rooting for you guys to get our first win, but
I don't think it's going to happen.
I feel like this game was over sort of the moment it started. I mean, the gas pedal was held down the entire time for Sports Look. Dan Cockerose and Ryan Acevedo, they're the game leaders with 31 points and 29 points respectively. And they just didn't stop. They were moving the ball well all game. It was just a complete shutout.
I don't even think a player on Sports Look got over 10 points. I'm not going to lie. It was hard to watch that game. I felt you want this team to do well because you want everyone to at least do well, but it's just not fun to watch right now.
You know, I gotta give them props though. I mean, they're clearly out there. They're having fun. They're trying.
Yep.
And you know, I saw number 11, Jason Bindner. Hopefully I said that right. You know, he was putting up some shots. You know, I saw him with a couple steals. So I gotta give them props for trying. And clearly they're having a good time out there. So
One thing that's optimistic, I think, that they can take away from this is that it wasn't so much that Sportslook's defense was that strong. It was more so they were missing shots on offense for Bricklayers. If they work on that, they can be a real contender. I think if they just work on offensive struggles.
Also, number 13 on the Bricklayers, I think he's a big dude. He could get in the paint a little bit more, do a little bit more damage instead of trying to work outside and take some shots.
yeah, for sure. They definitely just have to work on some of their team chemistry and, you know, working together. And I think that they could have a successful season towards the end. Maybe not a win, but more successful season. We'll see.
Shout out them coming out again, though.
no, yeah, I mean, again, we love you, Bricklayers.
Don't quit.
Next week, you won't be laying
Please don't.
bricks. We got you. And in the final game, you could have a moment of silence. Shout out Brendan, a former intern. We feel bad for him. Shout out Slat for stuffing him. It was funny to see. But TMC takes the win over the Silly Senders, 125-61. Joey actually had 17 and 7, so
He missed a lot of threes, though. I noticed. Yeah, a lot of wide open.
I wasn't going to say it, but
All
guys,
I can say with the Silly Spenders, I think they're looking forward to the game against the Bricklayers.
To be honest, I didn't even realize the score got so out of hand until I looked up at the scoreboard. I kind of felt like, obviously, TMC was really great on the transition game. Like, Reggie was just faster than everyone else on the court, and you were just a little stronger than everyone else on the court. But I really didn't think Silly Senders played terribly. I think they took a few too many low percentage shots, but other than that, I think they're actually pretty talented, all things considered the score, but it was still kind of tough to watch overall.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. I think the Senders, they definitely have heart, they have spirit, they're clearly having a fun time out there, so it was fun for me to watch, and, you know, definitely need some improvements on shots and stuff like that, but overall, I mean, I think the team is, you know, really great, so.
No, yeah, I mean, they kind of got a rough draw because they got obviously Redeem Team and then Run TMC. So once they kind of get not the top tier level talent in this league, I think they'll have better luck going forward. But that's about it for the Week 2 Summer CT 2019 post game. I'm your host from the Weekly Rebound, Greg Horne, and I'm with these interns, the greatest intern class we've ever seen outside of mine, of course.
They have names.
They do have names. I shout out Mike, Doug, Eddie. I apologize, guys.